Thank you, Professor Rao. Professor Virat. I think the topic is certainly a very important topic, that we need to look at certain transformations that in an educational practices, particularly in engineering education. Okay. If you look at it, the way the engineering education goes today is pretty much about 40, 50 years old, and by and large, things are pretty standard. You know, if I were to say that, if you look at, I'm an electrical engineer, if you look at certain basic courses like, say, electrical circuits, or if you go back in mechanical engineering and look at some basic courses in mechanics or dynamics, the way they are taught today, it's perhaps no different than it was taught 40 years ago. Okay. So I think certainly time has come for us to sit back, really brainstorm, okay, and see what can be done. Because in 40 years the world has changed, not just world, India itself has changed. Just these kind of facilities and these infrastructures didn't exist 40 years ago, even 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I think it's very, very important that we introspect and really brainstorm and look at and see what is it that we can do so that we are in tune with the needs of today. Okay. So there are a few thoughts that I have in this broad context that I'd like to share. One of the things that we need to bring in our educational system is a lot more emphasis on innovations, research and development. I'll put it together in terms of leading to products. Entrepreneurship, it's coming in, but still not in that strong a start. And the other aspect which I'd like to kind of bring in here, and for want of a better phrase, I'll refer to as creative design. The reason is I'm not talking about mechanical design, electrical design, design in civil engineering, okay, but creative design. Okay. Things like what in the IDC, Industrial Design Center at IIT Bombay does, or things like what NID in Ahmedabad does, National Institute of Design. I think time has come where engineers and these design people have to come together, because no engineering development is ever going to hit the market, or nobody is ever going to look at it unless creative design goes into it. And the famous example is, of course, the iPhone, iPad, the iPod, the things that Steve Jobs created. It's not simply engineering. In fact, if you were to look into those devices, the engineering is perhaps not as profound as the creative design aspect of it. And I think it's important that we bring that into our curriculum. It's much harder to do it. Manpower there is perhaps much less than the manpower we have in engineering discipline. Okay. But the merger is required out here. So in a sense, what I would refer to broadly, if I were to make just one-line statement, confluence between engineering, and I'm including all departments in engineering, and creative design. That is one big thing required in this particular aspect. And there has to be a focus in engineering education where we talk not simply about the pedagogy of education, but instill in our students that they have to be job creators and not simply job seekers. By and large in India, particularly when someone goes for engineering, both the parents and the students, and I have the experience of talking to them at orientation, the focus is, okay, 4 years down the road, what will be the pay package, for the student who graduates. Yes, that's important, but why not look at a situation where they say that, okay, after graduation the student will do something so that he'll create jobs and not simply look for jobs. Okay. The other aspect which has to get into the thing is, there is there at a superficial level, I would say, the complete grasp of the cyber world. Okay. We are living in a different kind of a world which is governed very, very strongly by the things that are happening in the cyberspace. Most students are familiar with things like, Facebook and Twitter and all kinds of other social media, Gmail and whatever the G that goes along. But in some sense, what is the impact that is going to have on us? Security, for example, loss of personal identity in a way. Okay, national security. How is that going to work out? At the same time, the utility of that in creative design and engineering education. So there are good things and not so good things, but how do we handle it? How do we manage it? I think that aspect is perhaps not well appreciated, and at various different fora on cyberspace we keep discussing it, but that has to be an integral part of our education system. Okay, so coming back to the first part I made is, research has to be driven. In fact, if you want to look at it, if you look at the great universities abroad and which have been very much in tune, it is research which drives teaching. Okay. By and large, in India, it's the other way around. We keep on doing teaching, and occasionally a little bit of research is being done. I think time has come where even colleges, not just larger institutes like say, IITs, BITS, triple ITs, etc. But I think all colleges have to have a strong research component in their program. And I think emphasis has to be there with AICT and others that yes, research will be emphasized. Because across the globe, when you talk to, there is a lot of discussion on, undergraduates getting involved with research. And I think this is one of the reasons. I was just, many a times you find students not attending classes is because the classes are not in tune with today's world. But if you bring in research, I think students will be a lot more exciting and they'll be a lot more interested in attending the classes out here. Strong industry interaction. I think I don't know how many people are here from the industry, and I think this is appeal to the industry to come forward and have very active interaction. In a sense, they are the ones who will throw out the research problems. That look, this is the need that the society has. Academicians will actually speculate on the needs and do research accordingly. But the industry can say, hey, this is what is required. I know because I interact with the market day in and day out. And I think that interaction between industry and academia is very, very vital. It is beginning to happen. It started, I would say, in India in a serious note somewhere in the late 90s, maybe around 2000. If you're generous, maybe 98. But roughly around 2000 it started, but it is still not at the level that you see, for example, in North America and Western Europe. Very strong linkage. And this is not simply in terms of sponsorship. Okay. But in terms of, actually interacting, in terms of saying, that these are the things that are required. And I think it can make a big, big difference. And this is something India needs very actively. And we have a very thriving high-tech industry in the country today. Okay. And I'm referring here not just homegrown industries, first generation entrepreneurs, but also multinationals who are there. We live in a globalized world. So I think this is very crucial that we need to have. From another pedagogical aspect, I think the semester system, in India, if you look at it, it started somewhere in the 60s. If I'm not mistaken, IIT Kanpur was the first to start it, and after that, pretty much everybody has the semester system. And to the extent that even Delhi University introduced the semester system, though there was a lot of opposition to it. Okay, but finally it is operating, it's going very well, and I would compliment the Vice Chancellor, Mr. Dinesh Singh, for taking that initiative and really getting it going. I think, but the semester system, in my opinion, has outlived its time. And it's been around in India for 40 years, in the world perhaps a lot more than that. The US has been having it for maybe at least 60, 70 years. Time has come to ask, is this the right way of going about it? What I think today, what is required is what I refer to as modularization of courses. It is very difficult in the age of, whatever you want to call it, the Twitter or Facebooks or, all these SMSs, etc. The way our thinking has changed to have someone focus on a topic for 42 hours or 45 hours. Typical semester is about 45 hours or 42 hours of lecturing. I think modularization at some level is required. I can just tell what we have done at IIT Hyderabad, and we have been very successful with it. We talk about something called fractional credit courses. So we have typically a course would be 3 credits, okay, in a semester. I'm just using the American credit system. In India, we keep changing it. Sometimes we add a few extra credits for homeworks, for tutorials, etc. But typically 3 credits, 3 contact hours per week, 14 weeks of lecturing, another week goes in the end-sem exams, mid-sem exams, etc. Maybe a little. So 42 hours of lectures. So we have courses which are 0.5 credit, 1 credit, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, goes on all the way. That is a 7-hour module, 14-hour module, 21-hour module, 28-hour module, all the way up to 42 hours. And what we have been able to manage in this whole process is that we get a lot of industry people coming and giving these modules. An industry person can't give 42 hours, but industry person can definitely give 7 hours, 14 hours. So we have people coming from Adobe, from NetApp, from various other industries. I'm talking about mainly in computer science right now and electrical engineering, but it's also happening in other disciplines. And we have people coming from overseas. We have a professor coming from France and giving a 14-hour module in material science. Okay. Now, that is something they can afford because they can come for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks and give a module. And the students are also finding it very interesting. We had a person coming from Hewlett Packard. He was here for 2 weeks. He gave a 14-hour module. You know, it's like a crash module. Okay. And to the extent that there are 2 patent applications that came out after teaching that 14-hour module. It was on a mathematical oriented course, something called wavelets and its applications. So on the fringe of mathematics and engineering. Okay. But the great thing was after that, you know, and how many of us can say that in a course, at the end of 42 hours, we have something, there are 2 students who come up with ideas for patents. Okay. This happened in a 14-hour module. Okay. So we have been very successful to the extent that we have now a full-fledged minor that we call BTech minor in entrepreneurship. Again, modular. All the courses are being taught by people in industry. You know, the former chairman and managing director of HCL, Ajay Chaudhary, you know, he taught one module on introduction to entrepreneurship, and it was a big hit. The students loved it. The kind of comments that came up were quite amazing. You know, I have commitments from people like BVR Mohan Reddy, who is the founder of Infotech and a very well-known personality in Andhra Pradesh. He has agreed to teach a 1-credit course. Okay. Just so happens that he is also the chairman board of governors for IIT Hyderabad now. But before that only had agreed to teach a 1-credit course. Now you can imagine the course which is on entrepreneurship, which is being taught by people like Ajay Chaudhary, Mohan Reddy and various people. You know, Shantanu Paul, who runs Talent Sprint, okay, has agreed to teach a course. Now the kind of knowledge that the students can get is phenomenal because these are the people who are there on the ground, started with, you know, ground level 0 and have reached the top floor now today. And this whole story that they hear and the experience and the things that they had to do, that makes a big difference. So it brings both. You know, if we can modularize our curriculum, I think industry is also likely to come and interact with us a lot more actively. Okay. So I think with these few words, I'd like to stop here and have the session, you know, and continue with it. And I'm hoping that we can wind up by 11, Professor Rao. Okay. Thank you so much.